All right, so we're on another episode of the podcast, and today I have three guests with me. One is a Warriors fan, a Hougang fan, and also a Tampines fan. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
Hi everyone, I'm the Warriors fan, and it's great to see the podcast back. And we are here to talk about issues today, right?
Hi guys, my name is Amsha. I'm a Hougang fan. I'm very shy.
Hi everyone, my name is Donovan. I'm a Tampines Rovers supporter.
That's not really Donovan, by the way. Okay, so a few hot issues that we've been reading in the news for the past couple of weeks. I think let's go straight to the point. Recently, New Paper reported that the foreign player quota for the S.League next season could be reduced from 4 to 3 players. And out of these 3 players, 2 of them must be under the age of 21. So, from the perspective of your respective clubs, or even as you know, for the S.League as a whole, especially for the teams that are participating in the AFC Cup, is this a good thing or is it a bad thing? I mean, looking at a longer term of things, okay. Maybe we can develop 1 or 2 of these players to become a future national player, like how we are mooting for the idea of Webb, Song right now. Gentlemen, what do you think? Let's start with the Warriors fan.
All right, so I think the entire idea is a bit rubbish, and the reason is I kind of agree with what the Geylang coach said. Why are we gonna try and build foreigners to become national team players in the future? Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a naturalized citizen myself, but if we put that same amount of money into actual youth development to develop our own guys, wouldn't that actually be better? And let's be honest, right? Home U had a really good AFC campaign, and do you really think that would have been possible with Suto in the team starting? Do you think if Home U had to choose between Stipe and Song, do you think it's going to work? I don't think so, right? So for me, if we do put in that rule, that is purely because of financial desperation, and we can only afford an under 21 player. And then again, why would a good under 21 player come to Singapore? Singapore is not exactly the hotbed of youth development. So we're going to end up with all the crap under 21 players who can't make it in other leagues. And we're just going to be... The league standard is going to drop. The whole point is bringing a foreigner is to add something the league already doesn't have. And for me, if you put that rule, that would seriously weaken the quality of the league.
From my point of view, right, I think this entire under the age of two foreigners under the age of 21 thing is a very bad idea. Like for the teams playing in the AFC Cup, I don't think it's going to be beneficial to any of the teams. So if
Hougang's not.
Shut up. I'm going to reveal your identity. Okay, so yeah, I mean, if you have like 2 under 21 players who are foreigners and just only 1 experienced player, like what the Warriors fan said, almost said your name there, what the Warriors fan said, like if Home U had to pick between Stipe and Song, then how does it go? I mean, even for my team, for Hougang, I can't even decide between Fumiya and Atsushi Shirota. Like, who are we going to pick, man? I mean, they're both very instrumental to Hougang this year.
One question: how about Fumiya and Pablo?
Definitely. I'm not gonna say anything. Pablo, I love you too. You almost saved us. Yeah. Good job though. So yeah, I mean, what I think is why they want to do this, because of the funding cut, and they want to limit the spending on like all those foreigners who get paid more than like maybe 5-digit pay and all that. So I guess, I mean, to me, leave it to the clubs. If they can afford it, they pay for it. If they can't afford it, then just don't get those kind of foreigners, man.
Okay, so here's an afterthought. Imagine if you chose Fumiya, right? And that's your main foreign player that's over 21. Now imagine playing with Fumiya and 2 Antoines. And let's say if by some chance you guys qualify next season for the AFC. Now, do you think that's a good thing? Because probably when you have 2 young players that are under 21, and then I'm sure many fans will know by now, Hougang has a good youth system. We have seen players like Geraldine coming in, Justin Hui coming in, and these are players that prior to this season, nobody knew who they were. But this season, they have really came through, and they are actually knocking on Philip Au's door. And for these players to actually have a real chance to play in bigger competitions because the playing field is more level, do you think it's a good thing? Or do you still oppose the idea of, just having to play one Fumiya and two Antoines, or Antoine level players?
I mean, if we can get Antoine level players, then I'm more than happy. Yeah, because I mean, if you look at it that way, then I guess it's good for our youth setup as well. Like that's the argument that we can make that. But then again, if you want, like sometimes football is a results game, so you need to win and you need the silverware. Like the reason why we are in such shambles is because we have, like, the national team has not been winning. Like probably Home U is the only team that did Singapore football some form of good. I do not like to admit that, but
I thought you guys were silverware. You don't care. What happened to that?
yeah, I don't care. I mean, we lost the Singapore Cup, but every year same old thing. So used to it.
Okay, I think the first two guys, the clubs that they support are not in AFC, first of all. Let me clarify. So let the Tampines fan do the talking, you see. I just think that it's crap, it's totally crap. You look at Tampines, we are already struggling in the AFC. And if you're going to come up with this new quota of two players that's under the age of 21, how is Singapore going to do well in the AFC, right? And if you're going to do that, then, how about the foreign teams? The likes of Albirex, DPMM, they have to go under 23 as well, or what? Or under 21. So you might as well change the S.League into a Prime League. So, I don't know. I mean, it's our only professional league. So why do you want to restrict, what clubs want to do? You see, look at Tampines, for example. Last season, we overspent. And this season, they kind of, changed their transfer policy. And they are going with the younger players. Ivan is 23, Megumi is 23 or 24. I think Song is mid-20s as well. So I think every club has their own directions. So I don't think that it's a good move, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, so one topic we all talked about earlier on was results. And recently, if you all read the news, Michel Sablon is saying that results don't really matter. Development is the key. Yeah, it's a key thing right here. Okay, probably y'all don't agree with this, but could you maybe just share with us what would you like to see, or the changes you would like to see at the youth level? Okay, let's say right now you are the TD. You've been given free rein to do whatever you want to change the system. What would you do?
All right, first of all, I'll come up with a rule that all the best young players cannot sign for Home United anymore, please. Every time someone good comes up, they go to SCDF and they play for Home United. All right. I'm talking about you, Anu. So, all right. So, for me, it's pretty simple for me. You play your age group as your age group. You get them. You gel them up. You make sure that people don't fall through the cracks at the very early stage. Make sure it's a big pool of players going up into, say, even the under 18s should be a big pool of players for me, right? Even the players who aren't that talented, they should be considered. So what happens now is only the elite gets chosen. Everyone else just has to go somewhere else. And, we see a lot of players who are dropped, who don't go through the system and who just still end up being pretty well, right? For me, I want that big pool of players available and playing at all the age group, the younger age groups, and I want them to start playing in their age groups. I don't really agree with the fact that you promote the best to age group above you, the one that Sablon was talking about. All that does is just conditions them to fail. It just makes failure acceptable, and you see that again and again. We just lost to New Caledonia. Is that even a country? I don't know, but so. What do you think these players are going to be? They're going to go up to Young Lions or go up to an S.League team and think it's perfectly fine to lose to an unknown entity. Now, if they went back and thought that they really have to pick themselves up, change their game because, oh my goodness, we lost to New Caledonia. That's the attitude we want. That's the attitude that you really want to better yourself. Not, I lose every week, it's fine. So for me, I would just do two things. Make sure that the elite players systems do not exist. Every player, for example, every club could try doing their own youth development, earn some money through that. But more importantly, I want the teams from a very young age to feel the good feeling of winning a match and getting used to being winners, right? That's what we're all about. We want to make winners.
If I was a technical director, first thing I would do, cancel all the NFA shit. All right, get rid of the young lions, send all these young lions players back to S.League clubs, and let them fight for places in the first 11, or else play in the Premier League. Another thing I would do, this NFA and all that, just stop it, stop it, just stop it, man. I mean, it's like what the Warriors fan said, exactly what he said. If you keep all the elites together and they start losing, then they just don't have the drive to continue, and it's just gonna develop that culture of we lose every week, you're nothing special, we lose every week. Like you don't want to be another. I'm not gonna say the team name, but yeah. I guess what I would encourage all clubs to do is to set up their own academies. Like back, I think a few years ago when I was a teenager, I joined the Tampines Rovers Academy. I know Hougang United fan, but I mean back then there were so many like football academies that were, that had links with ethnic clubs, and that sort of built a bridge for these academy players to get a shot at playing in the COE teams and all. So I don't know if Tampines still has a academy team or not, but that was a good thing. Another thing that I would do is just make sure Michael Sablon stays away from Singapore football. Yeah.
I think first of all he should go. I think he has been in Singapore FAS for how long? Few years. Yeah. I mean, if results doesn't matter, then I don't know. I mean, you look at the state of young lions. I don't really know what is like happening at the youth level, under 18, under 19. But I just feel that I agree with Amsha that every club has to have their own academy, and reach out to the community, to ensure like no players will fall through the cracks. But I personally feel that results still matters to a certain extent. If they keep losing, I think the morale will generally be really low, and it's hard to get that confidence, that belief back that they can make it to the top level. You see, and that's the reason why there's so many of them that just drop out halfway and not pursue football as a career. Yeah.
So this is just a question: do all these like private academies? I mean, do the scouts go to all these private academies to scout players? Because some of these players, they just join like private academies, like I don't know, some soccer school somewhere. Do they get discovered by the FAS? Do the scouts actually go out of their way to watch these players play? Like, yeah, I mean like outside of like school teams, outside of academy teams, even like maybe like the Delta League or the Malayan Youth League or anything. I'm sure there are players who can be who deserve a shot at being selected for like maybe COE teams or like the national team or something. So yeah, just a question I have.
Let's talk about a theoretical scenario whereby there's no Garena Young Lions. Let's suppose that they never existed, and all these young players are now scattered all around. Coming out from the various COE teams and then coming into the Prime League teams. Do you think it's a good idea to let the club decide who they want to play? I mean, because clubs definitely want to win, right? So the coach will definitely choose the players whom he feels would be the best on the pitch or perform to what he wants on the pitch. But then there are certain players, like because of this kind of situation, they might not get a chance to play. And then therefore they've been left out. And then like what Donovan said earlier, the players don't feel that, why screw it, I don't want to play football anymore because I'm constantly being left out. And then in this kind of theoretical scenario, do you think that we would be able to have a better SEA Games team as opposed to having like right now, Garena Young Lions? I mean, of course, it's all hypothetical, all right, but just want to have what do you think about this Do you think it's viable?
Donovan looks a lot different today, you know. But, but all right. So for me, yes, it would definitely make a better SEA Games squad, just because, well, that's what he said, right? The coaches in the clubs want to win. They look for winners. What does that do? That lets the winners play. What does that do for the national team? It highlights to the national team who the winning players are, or the players who have the mentality to go get a win. Now, this may be from the Prime League or the Prime League team or the S-League team. Doesn't really matter at which level they play, but it'll highlight to us the winners. Yes, there will be some players who might not get the chance to play. But do you think these players are anyway getting a chance to play in the current setup? Because these, like, at least they'll make it to the Prime League squad or the S-League squad before they drop out. Right now, what's happening is they drop off at age 12 or age 16 because they never made it to the NFA under-17s, right? So, yes, there will be players who drop out, and there are players who drop out in any system. But at least when a coach is looking for winners, so we're gonna have. Let's just assume that S-League had that we have 7 local clubs now. Let's just assume we only had 7 local clubs. There are 7 coaches who are on the lookout for winners, right? And now we will get the input from 7 coaches on who the winners they have are, and the SEA Games coach just has to go pick his squad from that. Obviously, yes, he has to train them. He has to be competent enough to spot them, train them, mold them into his system. But the best way to identify a winner is to open the system up and make sure there are more. There's basically a wider pool of people to pick from. That's my opinion.
So what I think is that, for the S-League, if we take out the young lions and distribute these players, rule, I don't know if anyone will agree with me, but a rule that the S-League could do is to fill a minimum of maybe 2 players who are under the age of 23. I mean, makes sense. At least they get some playing time in the S-League.
As long as they're not foreigners, right?
Yeah, as long as it's not under 21 foreigners. Yeah. So, with that, we can at least ensure that, these young players, if they work hard enough, they get to be selected. And, it's up to the coaches if they want to play more than 2 under 23 players. But, I think that would make sense in the grand scheme of things.
Okay, if you take the young lions out of the whole league, right? I just feel that if you are good enough, age doesn't come into consideration. I think it will eventually make players want to work even harder to get a starting spot. As for whether we should impose the cap of 2 players that is under the age of 21, I'm not too sure about that at the moment, but I think if you look across the league, I have always had a soft spot for Balestier. I think Marco is doing a good job. And you look at the team, I think most of them are pretty much under the age of 24, And he has I think in return, we have seen a few players really come through the first team. Hazuan Halim is one of them. And he's quite a good prospect. And he's a player that will never get any playing time, with the bigger clubs. Let's be I'm quite firm about that actually. Yeah. Yeah, like Home U, like Warriors, Tampines, or even Tampines, my own club, where, yeah, maybe. But okay, the next team I'm going to go to is actually Hougang, who is obviously, we have a hardcore, die-hard fan here. You look at Philip Au. He's giving, he has given a lot of young players playing time, especially in the League Cup, or even the S-League when they want to focus on the Singapore Cup. We have seen players who are coming up. Liner. I have not heard of him. Before this season, I think he has shown that he's good enough. You can eventually, play in the first team and cement a spot. I think that will be the, it really pushed the player to work harder. Yeah, I mean, if you are good enough, you can eventually make it. I feel, yeah.
So one question though, if we take Young Lions out, who's going to finish at the bottom of the table? Hougang again, is it?
No, I think DPMM.
Which comes to my next topic. Okay, so recently we read about DPMM, right? And supposedly DPMM is thinking of pulling out of the S-League to rejoin the Malaysia Super League. Do you gentlemen think it's a good thing or is it a bad thing?
Alright, so I'm a bit confused. I thought Malaysia kicked Lions 12 out and said we don't want any foreign teams. how come DPMM's in there now? All right, but that aside, honestly, I don't see how DPMM contributes to Singapore football, because they don't play in Singapore football. Like, unlike Albirex, who are actually developing our youth, giving them the chances, connecting with the community here. They're not here. They're not giving a Singaporean youth the chances. They're not playing any Singaporean players in Brunei. So, other than just making up the numbers, I really don't see where they come from, or how they add into the S-League. So, I would say good riddance.
I have two opinions on this. The good thing about pulling DPMM out of the league is that, you know, that gives us a chance to maybe put in another club into the S-League. Maybe you can see the return of Woodlands or Gombak or even Tanjong Pagar. Or who knows, Sembawang Rangers suddenly miraculously appear again. I don't know. Jurong FC and Sundram playing also. Or Sinchi FC, where's their clubhouse still around? I saw it the other day. It looks empty, but it's still there. But yeah, I mean, the good thing is that, you know, we have the opportunity to bring back one of these clubs. Maybe merge one of these two clubs and come back. But the bad thing for me personally is that I don't get to go to Brunei to, you know, experience an away game overseas every year. So it was fun, man. I mean, the trip to Brunei was fun. People there were very hospitable. And yeah, it was fun, cheering, 12 guys cheering on our local boys. In Brunei, we were outnumbered, but the stadium was relatively empty. I don't know why. I sort of know why, but let's not go there. So for me, it's I don't know, I'm 50-50 about it.
Yeah, I'm not really 50-50. I think I'm 110% that they should leave the S-League. Yeah. You know, it has I think it's more I don't think it benefits us in any way, to be honest. I think it benefits Brunei football more than anything else. At least it gives the player the kind of exposure that they get, you know, playing in a professional league. My take for S-League is we should just remain as local and no more FT teams, seriously. Last warning, really. Lim Kia Tong, if you are listening to this, really, please, just make it local. Even Albirex should turn local, to be honest. I think there's a lot of takeaways for the local clubs to learn from Albirex. You know, how they run the club, how they engage the community. But let's not get there. I think I'm diverting from the question. So back to DPMM, I think they should leave. But I think potentially, you know, S-League clubs might consider taking some of their players, you know, to play for their own clubs. I think they have some really talented players out there.
So yeah, something I want to add on. Instead of the two under-21 players, you know, maybe we should do it like the Malaysian Super League or the Thai League, where we can have 4 foreign players and one of them has to be from ASEAN, an ASEAN country. And
just to add on also, I totally agree with what Amsha said. I think we should just go according to the AFC Champions League and the AFC Cup rules, where it's 3 foreigners and 1 ASEAN player. Or we can even go into some agreement with other countries. I heard that, you know, Thai players playing in J-League is considered like a local. They are not considered like a foreign import. So I think that's how you grow the league and get exposure out there, see, because there's a lot of good players across ASEAN. I mean, yeah, you know, if you don't have the money, then go for players in neighboring countries, like what Balestier has done. But even though the 3 players are not even playing for their own national team, but I mean, there are definitely players out there that we can potentially reach out to. Yeah.
Okay, let's go into football manager mode. Okay, talking about ASEAN players for your respective clubs. I mean, realistically speaking, which ASEAN player would you like to see in your team? Don't tell me Chanatip, okay? That's impossible, That's impossible, okay? But maybe someone that's realistically that you can sign, okay? And don't tell me Ong Chonai also, okay? Please.
All right. So now this is gonna look a bit embarrassing because I really don't know much about the regional football, but I will say go to Indonesia, because Indonesia has had some trouble, had issues with FIFA, so they've been out of the game for a bit, but they have extremely talented players there, and you know, we have to wonder if we actually missed the opportunity to just poach them a couple of seasons ago when their football literally shut down. So I would say let's go to Indonesia. The exchange rate is going to work for us, I think. So let's go offer some talented Indonesian kids. And culture-wise, we are quite similar. Let's be honest, they'll fit in quite well with our guys. Language-wise, food-wise, it's going to be good. All right, Donovan's laughing. I don't know why, but yeah. So for me, I don't want to name a particular player, but look to Indonesia.
Before we pass this to Amsha, I'm just going to add on this point because if you look back at our history, right, Singapore actually did have players playing in Indonesia and they were quite successful, right? No, Alamshah was one of them who played Ridwan, who played for Arema. Yeah, Mustafa as well. Even sometime back then, we had players like Precious playing for Persija, Argo Caspia. Yeah, we had so many players that went to Indonesia and actually we did pretty well over there. So why can't it be the other way around? Of us getting Indonesian players, I'm sure there are some players. Even though you say you don't know them, but I'm sure you know players like Irfan Bakdim, Boa Salosa. These are players that can play. These are players that can flourish in the S.League. Okay, and these are players with certain standard. And I'm sure if Warriors approach, let's say for example, Boa Salosa with an attractive package, I'm sure he will come, right?
Well, the easiest thing is go to them and say you can enter our stadiums without military guards around you. So, yeah, unless you're playing Hougang, in which case, okay, I come with you.
So one player from ASEAN is a young guy from Malaysia, Tanabalan. I love him in SEA Games. I mean, that guy is he has amazing beard and I know he plays damn good. I was impressed by him in the SEA Games. So yeah, Tanabalan for Hougang. Come to Hougang next year. Thank you.
I think for myself, if I'm going to sign an ASEAN player for Tampines, it will be Adi from DPMM. He's already in our league. I think he's one of the best winger in S.League. But let's be realistic, right? I mean, do you make a point that, Indonesia is somewhere that we can look at? Potentially, yes. But...
You mean the Warriors, man?
Oh yeah, the Warriors fan. But let's be realistic, right? I mean, they are playing in front of crowds of what? At least 30, 50, or even close to 80, 90,000 for the derby games. Yeah. I don't think they will want to swap that to play in front of 1,000 fans. That's not going to happen, I don't think so. But potentially we can look at players from Philippines, Brunei, Laos, or even Cambodia. I don't think Thai or Malaysia players will want to come to S.League anymore. Yeah. That is the state of our S.League right now.
Talking about that, if you watch the Singapore Cup, if you watch Bongket play, and the captain of Bongket can actually score so many goals past, our Warriors, it tells you volumes about how much our regional neighbours have came up in terms of the standard, right? So even if you look in countries like Laos and Cambodia, I'm sure you can unearth some gems that probably can light up the league lah. Yeah, because okay lah, to be honest, a lot of my friends who watch the S.League also say, why are we signing has-beens? Why don't we just go for young players? Like Amsha mentioned, Tanabalan. Before the SEA Games, did anyone know Tanabalan? But yeah, exactly. But right now, he's hot property. Everybody wants him to be in their club, and it's something that probably would be better than Jermaine Pennant, right? I'm sure you guys agree. I'm sorry, Tampines, but I'm sure you guys agree with this, right?
Okay, and you look at Tanabalan, right? That's how I pronounce, right? Okay, I think his story is amazing. I think it can be something that the Singapore players can learn from. You see, I heard that he's a sole breadwinner. His father is bedridden or something. So he started off at a young age. Worked at a supermarket and attended training and did odd jobs to provide for the family. I think it's really about getting out of the comfort zone and just knowing what you want and believing in yourself. Putting in all the hard work. And look at he's playing for Division 3, right? I think it's the third tier of Malaysian League football, and he's trying to get his team promoted. So you compare it to the Young Lions. It's just that comfort zone. It's really getting out of the comfort zone and pushing yourself to become a better player.
Okay, so we're going to end off this discussion by going back to our national team. So today, if you read the papers, there was a very controversial statement by our former national coach, Bernstanch, who said that he's surprised that Sundram actually went back to using the old guard. Okay, what he mentioned was during his time, he actually eradicated all the old players. He wanted to use fast players that adapted to his style of football, which was fast passing, fast counter-attacking. And today he's attributing this as one of the reasons why we have slipped from the time he left 148 to today. I think it's 160 something our ranking. 168, yeah. So, do you guys agree with what he said? I mean, it's highly controversial, but in some ways he does make a point, because when he was the coach, although we did not win many games also okay, but we were in a better FIFA ranking than now. So, what do you guys think about this?
Well, I think it's definitely easier to talk when you don't have to really prove anything, right? So once you're out of the job, you can say, "Oh, if only I was there," right? It's a very easy thing to say, but what Bernsteiner did is he cut off a lot of experience. And let's be honest, when he came in, we were champions of ASEAN, right? So what he did was he removed a whole bunch of players who were champions of ASEAN. Yes, maybe Daniel Bennett and Mustafi are a bit old now, but when he was there, they weren't that old. They were the experience that we needed desperately at that point. And let's be honest, Bernsteiner messed up. For me, at least. Yes, he did bring in some young players in, but did they do that well? No, because they didn't have any experienced people to guide. Because when you're in the national stage, that is a lot of pressure. I mean, just look at that Suzuki Cup we had in 2014? It's just we were almost through. We were 1-1. Why? What could have helped in that place is an experienced head at the back to keep things calm. Well, again, as I said, it's easy to talk now, but I'm not a big fan of how Sundaram is doing right now, but he's at least tried to stabilize the ship, do some changes in the last few matches. He's trying something. Bernd, you dropped the ball. Sorry.
I guess for me, I sort of agree with Dil, but it's sort of. I mean, I sort of agree with the Warriors fan. But yeah, in every team, I believe that there needs to be a balance of like fresh pair of legs and the old guns, experience and the youth. So I think that was Burn's mistake, is like Xing out all the experience that we had, the champion team that we had, So maybe at that point of time, keep like Mustafic and Daniel Bennett, Amri at the time as well, and a few of the other guys. But at the same time, slowly introduce the younger players. I like what he did with the introducing the younger players and all. I mean, Iqbal Hussein and all. But you still need experience, especially at the back there. So I mean, he could have if had he not messed up back then, we could have been in a better position as well. So I guess the blame is on both of them.
Sorry, can I beg to differ on Iqbal Hussein? Iqbal Hussein only made it to the national team because he was kicked out because of discipline issues. Now imagine that, the youth team coach says, "I don't want you because you have discipline issues," and the national team coach says, "All right, I'll take you." But do you really think you did the correct thing now? Come on.
Yeah, but then again, controversial topic, right? So I mean, everybody has different opinions on this. At least Sundaram is trying something out right now. The last two games that we played, the last two draws we didn't lose, so that's a good thing, I guess. It's a good start, not losing. So yeah, better keep that up, Sundaram, and start winning.
I think he shouldn't be surprised at all, because I think they are both very different coaches. I mean, Sundaram obviously is well known for his very defensive tactics, whereas Bernd is more like I think he believes in youth, but obviously he wanted to get there. He wanted to try to get results in a shortest possible time, which was not realistic, right? I mean, he believed in young players. That's good. I think one of the players that he brought in was like Adam Swandi. He gave him his debut, and he's quite one of the best attacking midfielders in the league today. So, in my opinion, he shouldn't be surprised at all. It's really, really very different styles. I think I agree with what the Hougang and Warriors fans said earlier. It's a Nissan Skyliner. Yeah. So they are very different. They the way they set out their team is really different. You can look at the kind of players that they call up; it's very different as well. But I do agree with the two of them that experience is needed at the international stage. And I mean, for example, you look at Daniel Bennett. Okay, I mean, I'm a Tampines supporter, but look at how he defends. He's still dominating strikers in the league. He's probably like one of the best defenders, at the age of 39. So I think that says a lot. If you're good, then I don't think age should be one of the considerations of getting a call up.
Okay, so we are all set to play Turkmenistan in 6 days. We'll be playing Qatar in I believe it's tomorrow. Yeah, for the friendly. So looking at the team that's in Qatar and soon to be bound for Turkmenistan, do you think there are any inclusions that have been left out by Sundram based on the current form of the players that are in the league? You can mention players from your own team, but of course you can mention players from other teams as well.
Sorry, so just to clarify the rules again, this time it's not a Skyliner, it's a big WAN. So, okay, to clarify the rules again, we can't play Stipe, is it? So Stipe is not allowed. Oh, man. All right, so honestly, and now it's a bike. So, all right, so honestly, I don't disagree with what Sundaram has, but I just wish, say, Wailun would get more time on the pitch. I think he's a very talented player. Emmerich, he started and then was dropped for the second match. Let's give him a shot because he was damn solid against Hong Kong. And he had to get a necessary red card, take one for the team, but he was damn solid. So Emmerich, Wailun, and sorry, I'm just going with all Warriors players, but maybe Sharilisha could start because we really can't score more than 2 goals right now. Maybe we could have him up front. He's a bit slow, but he can still score the goals, Just don't make him take penalties. That's it.
For me, I think I would put in Shawal Anwar. He's not on the squad list, right? Fantastic player. He rose through the ranks and all. So I always like to play with a backstory, Tanah Balan, Shawal Anwar. Another guy I would like to see would be, a goalkeeper, Caroline Khalid, plays for Hougang, like my favorite goalkeeper right now. The guy is good. I think we spoke about this earlier before we started recording this. We are blessed with a bunch of good goalkeepers right now, but they're in the wrong era. We have Hassan Sani, we have Izwan Mahbud, we have Saiful Nizam, we have Shazwan Buhari, we have Shazwan Buhari, and we have Karun Khalid. So it's so many goalkeepers to choose from. Yeah. We have Hairul Nizam Jumaat.
Not that guy.
From Warriors.
Zaino Golam. Basil Chan, come on.
Add some spice to the national team. Basil Chan. But yeah, we have a bunch of talented goalkeepers, so it's going to be hard, to get first choice, and we all know Hassan Sani is going to get it because he's just on another level. Who else would I like to see? I think Nazrul Nazari wasn't selected for this squad. Give Iqbal Hussein another shot, maybe. Or Faris Farhan, yeah. Faris Farhan as well.
Interesting choice.
Yeah. I haven't seen him in the national team colours yet. But we'd love to see him there. But yeah, I think for me right now is my main 3 choices would be Faris Farhan, Caroline Khalid, and Shawal Anwar.
Wow, I have a lot of players that I would put in a team that Sunjam didn't call up. But let's be realistic. Look at the way he set out his team to be. Players like Iqbal, Faris Farhan, Amy, Sahil Suhaimi. I don't know how he's doing at Sarawak, but then again, he's quite a good player. I am looking at players like Shawa. They are not included for one reason. They can't defend. And you look at the players that Sunjam call up, they are usually very tactical discipline. So they stick to their roles. I was just looking at the midfielders that he called up. Zufami, Hafiz Shuja, Safuwan, Haris, Ishdin, Shadan, Yasir. There's no wingers. Only Faris Ramli. And Nazrul Nazari, yeah, he's not there as well. He's a wing back. He's not a full back. Yeah. And look at players like Abdul Qaim. He's like one of the better defenders. And I'm not too sure how Shannon and this Rushaidi got ahead of him, or even Emmerich. So I don't really agree with the selection if you ask me. And this Rushaidi, right, I watched the SEA Games, he totally got owned against Malaysia and he got a call up. Just after what? After he scored a free kick? I don't know. I'm not too sure about that choice though.
Okay, interesting that you listed out all the midfielders, but there's one thing which so far I've been watching and I don't feel comfortable. I don't know how about you guys. What do you guys think? But Zulfami Arifin being deployed first by Philip Au and then by Sundram as a makeshift centre back when he is really more of a creative player. Yeah. Be it for club and country. What do you guys feel? Do you think he should be playing further up front in a creative role, or is he doing so well right now that we should just plonk him in the centre of defence or across the back line, in front of the back line to defend?
Well, what's new, right? We take the best attacking options we have and we convert them to defenders. We did that to Irfan. I think Anders was the same. So yeah, well, Isdin, get used to being a defender, bro.
Well, guess for me, tough question. I mean, Zulfami is doing well at the back. He's doing well at the back, but I'd love to see him being given the opportunity to play in a more creative role, slightly up front.
Just to interject, I always confuse Zulfami Arifin and Izin Shafiq. Sorry.
I'm gonna reveal your identity again. But yeah, who knows? Maybe Sundram wants to, has a plan in mind. Maybe you can utilize him as two different roles. But I don't know. I don't know what Sundram is thinking. I'm not Sundram. If I could ask him this question, I actually have a lot of questions to ask him. If I actually do get the opportunity to talk to him, but who am I, right?
Okay, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think one of the reasons why he's playing here as centre back is because he's like a natural left-footed, and probably be better if he's playing as a left centre back instead of two centre back who are right-footed. But if you ask me, for Zulfami, right, his best position will still be holding midfielder. I see him more as like a Michael Carey, where he can spray those long balls to the wings, and he can defend as well. I think he's not so much as a playmaker, no. I think Shadan would be more like a playmaker if you ask me. Zulfami would be more like a sitting, holding midfielder for me. I think that is his best role. But if you look at the national team, I mean, they like to play players out of position. Shafuan is a left mid, then striker. They should just play him as a centre back. Yeah, I mean,
that's why he started.
Yeah, and he should just remain there because he's good. He can be a threat during set pieces. You shouldn't play him as a left winger. Is he even left winger? There's so many wingers in Singapore right now. But unfortunately, Sundram being our national team coach, that's not going to happen.
Okay, so 2 questions. You can choose not to answer if you don't want to, okay? First question is the 2 holding midfielders that we have, or rather the 2 centre midfielders that we have right now. Usually, who do we see? We see Haris Harun and we see Izzdin Shafiq. Suppose if now Zulfami comes into the mix, the 3 of them, say you can only choose 2. Would you stick to Haris and Izzdin, or would you put Zulfami in? Okay. The other question I want to ask you guys is, putting Zulfami, a natural midfielder, as a centre-back, at the expense of leaving out players like Anders, do you think it's justifiable, or you think he's doing such a good job, why should we bring Anders in?
Well, first question is a bit tough to answer. Very tough to answer, but I would say Izzdin and Haris. Haris is a different class. Izzdin's been rather good this season. That's what happens, right? When there's competition for your position, one player doesn't make the cut. That should inspire the other player to perform better. That is what I feel. So maybe it is good that he would have to miss out on a match and improve his standards. Wow, we're being interrupted by a scooter now. It's a variety of vehicles today. Well, again, it's like sticking a plaster over a big crack, right? And then hoping it holds. Yes, it will fix your issue for the short time, but are you really saying that Anders doesn't deserve a position after how much he's improved? Even Lionel, I would say even Lionel. Why not, right? Let's give them a chance.
Yeah, Lionel did not play a single minute in the SEA Games. So, well, I'm not going to say anything about it because it's past, so can't cry over spilled milk. The first question, tough question. It's gonna sound controversial because I'm a Hougang fan, but I would still put Izzdin Shafiq and Haris Harun.
What?
I don't want to explain myself, but that's how it go. Sorry, Zul. Your wedding, the biryani, nice. And second question. I think also a tough question for me, but I wouldn't mind seeing a natural centre back being played. Like what the Warriors fan said, and Anders can be given a chance. Even Lionel Tan can be given a chance, but I think it's impossible for Lionel now because he's going into NS. So we're gonna miss you, Lionel. I'm gonna cry, but yeah. What do you?
I think it's a no-brainer for me. I'll go with Haris and Zufami. Reason being because I think Izzdin is more like a sideway kind of passing. He goes for short passes, whereas Zufami can really launch those perfect inch long balls, if you ask me. But one thing about Zufami is he has his qualities, but he needs to step up and be more consistent. When I saw the Hougang games, he tend to drift in and out of the games. He can be really influential, with his skills and his passing range, but he just go missing during games, and I think that is something that he probably can work on. I think it would be more of like being consistent and show it on a regular basis so that he can eventually make it to the national team lineup. And as for the second question, Anders is a good defender, no nonsense type of defending. I like him. To be fair, and I think he has improved a lot playing alongside Yuki, which is really good, right? I mean, you have the experience of playing beside a really good solid foreign defender, but I don't think he's ready for the international setup yet. Yeah, I still feel that a centre back pairing should be Irfan and Shafuan.
This Donovan is really tactically very sound today.
It's Donovan Mourinho, by the way. Okay, so I think that's all the time we have today. If you have any objections with what we have discussed, or you have any comments, just leave it in the comments below, and we will take your comments seriously, and we'll bring it up in the next session and discuss it further. All right, this has been another episode of the podcast. Thank you for tuning in, and good night.